major role in teen relationships sometimes.
Okay, one of the biggest causes for youth on youth violence is gangs. Gangs are one of the biggest influences. There are over 24,500 gangs in the United States, and there's 160 gangs in Boston alone. And gangs cause about 6% of non-fatal crimes throughout the nation, and they commit 48% of national violent crimes. But that percentage can actually reach about 90% in Massachusetts alone. And just recently, 3 women were killed for gang affiliation in a drive-by shooting in Dorchester, actually. And gang violence is usually caused because of territorial rights, because they feel as though that this is their territory, and if another rival gang were to come onto their territory, they consider that like a threat. So they feel that they need to retaliate by shooting them or stabbing them or causing some sort of altercation.
Exposure to violence. If an individual is exposed to violence in the community, then it can impact how they behave. Some may feel that they need to assimilate and conform in order to survive. Monkey see, monkey do. When people see violence in the community, some may consider it's okay to do the same. In some Stony Brook areas, children are exposed at a very young age. This can cause like a numbing effect. It becomes more difficult for them to differentiate what's okay, what's bad, what's good, what not to do, what to do. And quite frankly, things won't shock them as much if they have an extensive amount of violence exposure. Unemployment and dropout rates, we mentioned this earlier. Due to unemployment and dropout rates, the crime rate has gone up significantly. 68% of the criminals in state prisons do not have a high school diploma, which can contribute to how we possibly ended up there. However, if the graduation rate increases by just 10%, it can reduce murder and assault rates by 20%. Crime tends to occur more in a city when there is a higher unemployment rate. In Massachusetts, there is a 6.5 unemployment rate, and 5.8% of unemployment in the city of Boston alone. Some organizations and programs, we listed a couple here. One is the Anti-Bullying Hotline. This is in Massachusetts. Mayor Thomas M. Menino established an anti-bullying hotline for kids and their families. They understand that sometimes it's hard for kids to talk face to face, and they don't really want to speak to anyone that knows them, and they can call up this hotline, and families can call up this hotline, and it's meant to help them feel more comfortable and more safe.
Okay, I talked about Youth Connect. They pair with Boston Police to locate at-risk youth, and they provide families with intense case management and therapeutic services. And the Division of Violence Prevention is one of the people we interviewed for, and I'll talk about it after, but they touch on, they have a couple things: violence intervention and prevention, Start Strong, the PACT program, and Defending Childhood Initiative.
And one of our other stakeholders is Street Safe Boston. Street Safe Boston is a Boston-based nonprofit organization that actually, they have street workers that go into the gangs, but I'll touch upon that more in our interviews.
One organization that had a really strong impact was Operation Ceasefire. It began in 1996. It was based off of the Boston Gun Project. It was the most influential youth violence prevention project, focused on giving gang members the services they needed to make the transition from gang life into a more positive lifestyle. Their main strategy was to pull every single legal trigger they possibly could. This would sometimes mean serving warrants and sending kids to juvie. It was kind of like a tough love sort of deal. It involved the Boston police, caseworkers, youth workers, as well as probation and parole officers. And when it ended in 2000, there was a 160% increase of youth violence in just a matter of 6 years. Some of the early stages of youth violence, I interviewed a substitute teacher that worked among the Boston Public Schools. What he told me was it happens mostly underneath the stairwells and out of teacher's sight. Students want to demonstrate their sense of power, physical, mental, maybe it's for popularity purposes. they encourage kids to not get involved themselves, but to more so report it to teachers or counselors. And he also, what kind of struck me interesting was he mentioned that it's a delicate time for this age group. They're just trying to figure themselves out, where they can fit in, where they're more comfortable, and I don't know why, I never thought of it that way, but that was just something that stood out to me.
Our second stakeholder that we interviewed was Street Safe Boston. Street Safe Boston is a nonprofit organization that was started in 2009. It began because of a research project that was done by Harvard University. The Street Safe Boston works with 422 youth affiliated with 20 of the 130 or 160 gangs within the Boston area. They have two different strategies. The first strategy is the street level gang intervention, which they have street workers that come from neighborhoods of different gangs that go into these gangs that there are now, and they work with them to help get them out of the gang life and help them transition, help them basically help lower the violent crime rate by preventing retaliation and mediating between rival gangs. And their second strategy is the neighborhood-based service delivery, which is helping these gang members transition from the gang life into basically like real life kind of, by giving them IDs, giving them birth certificates because they don't have street addresses, giving them the proper clothes to wear, just the essentials like job training and stuff like that. And they also do Boston by Night tours, which is, it helps raise awareness for youth on youth violence in the Stony Brook communities, especially in the South End. They use these to receive donations from other places. And I spoke to Dr. Warfield, who was actually a professor that used to work at Northeastern. And he said that Street Safe is more of a preventative and reactive group because they prevent youth violence, but they react to the different types of violence by going into hospitals where there are gang victims that were shot and helping them find the cause of this shooting and trying to prevent the retaliation. And he also said that it's effective because they work directly with the active shooters in the gangs. They work with the ones who are the most violent, and they try and help take them out of that environment.
Okay, well, we had a couple of other interviews, but we don't have time to touch upon them, but they're in our report.
Yeah, that's
so.
great. Any questions? Yeah.
Do you guys find out like how many people they have, like the ones that you said that they go attack into the shooters, like the people that shoot the guns? Like,
well, it's more like it's like a case management type of organization, and they have 422 youths that they work with right now. So I'm pretty sure that those 422 are the shooters of the gangs. That's it.
Say that number again. How many?
422.
I'm just wondering, how did they connect to the gangs in the first place?
They usually the street workers that they work with are the people that lived in that neighborhood, so they're familiar with the gangs. And Dr. Warfield actually told me that they only hire people that are from that neighborhood and that have some sort of street smarts in a sense, so they know what's going on in like the gang life and things like that.
Christine, did you want to close this out on a question?
I was going to ask
You have the same question? Okay, we're exactly at the end of our time. Thank you, everyone.
Hi.